This morning's real-life Christianity moment is one that I've kind of put off for a while because it's based on some things that Dr. Randy Smith had to say at last year's Martinsburg Grace Brother Church has been sponsoring a men's retreat over at Camp Manawagat for the past several years, and Randy has been coming to speak, and most of you guys have missed that, haven't come out for that, and boy, I tell you, you missed something listening to Dr. Randy speak. He talked about, first of all, I just have a couple of points that he made. It's not all that long, but he talked about heaven being really about being in a continual, intimate relationship with Jesus. That when we get to heaven, we will somehow be in this continual, intimate relationship with Jesus. And Randy asked the question, if you don't have that now here on earth, if you don't have a continual, ongoing, intimate relationship with Jesus in your daily life, he asked the question, why would you want to go to heaven? If that's what we're going to experience there. Now, I think the reason that many would say, well, they would still want to go to heaven is because having that intimate, daily, ongoing relationship with Jesus, number one, isn't really a part of this life for a lot of people. And second of all, I think even the idea of what does it mean? Why do you want to go to heaven? What do you expect to experience? I know from talking to a lot of people over the years, I know that, and I get it, but I know that the idea of being reunited with family is kind of one of the first things that I hear from people who talk about going to heaven. Right away, that's kind of a warning sign. When someone, the first thing that they talk about in going to heaven has to do with anything other than Jesus, that's a warning sign. And when it has to do with being together with our family again in heaven, it's almost like people picture it as being a family reunion. Kind of like an eternal family reunion. And unfortunately, most of the family reunions, well, all of the family reunions I've ever gone to included both believers and unbelievers, number one. So there were a lot of people in my family that are not going to be in heaven. And then the next thing is, that we have this idea that, husbands and wives are sitting on a porch in heaven, or, grandpas are playing with their grandkids, in heaven, different ideas of what we perceive heaven to be like. And what Dr. Randy talked about is the main thing about heaven is that we will finally be there with Jesus, our Savior. And so, again, if we are not really into a daily, hourly, even relationship with Jesus on the earth, why would we want to even go to heaven? If that's the main point of heaven, you look at the Bible. We need to say no to various things of this world in this life. He talked about that for a while. That we need to say, no, I'm not going to do that. No, I'm not going to take part with you in doing that. No, I'm not going to talk about that. No, I'm not going to watch that. No, I'm not going to do that, whatever. We need to say no a lot in this life if we obey the Bible in this world. And we need to say yes to things. If we're a true follower of Jesus, we need to say yes to things that many folks will tell you you should say no to. But many people are going to say, that's just weird. Why? Only wackos, only fanatics, only religious nuts do that kind of stuff. There's going to be a lot of things in this life, if you're a true follower of Jesus, that people are going to tell you stuff like that. The thing is, God's agenda, and this is another strong statement he made, Dr. Randy made, God's agenda is not to cater to you, or me. It's not to make us happy. That is not God's agenda, despite the fact that that's often preached today. God's agenda is not to make us happy. God's agenda is to get us where He wants us to be. God's agenda is to get us to be living the way He wants us to live. That's God's agenda. You know, 2 Timothy 2 verse 26 talks about the fact that there are people in church that the devil has taken captive to do his will. That should be kind of a humbling thing to think about. It's talking about people in church. And that there are people in church that the devil has taken them captive to do what he wants them to do. We need to do better at giving every day to Jesus. And I would again submit to you, not just every day, but we should be in this kind of an hour-by-hour relationship with our Savior. We should be seeking what He wants in everything, not what we want. We should be asking what He wants. We should, in our prayers, they should mainly be lead me to do what you want me to do. And all the decisions and the things that we get involved with every day. Why do you... Again, it seems like, at first glance, it seems like a kind of silly question. But it's a deep, deep question, and I wish you all could have heard what Dr. Randy Smith had to say about that day. Because it has a lot to do with real-life Christianity.